people, welcome to Ultimate Talks, a Christian podcast from the studios of Ultimate Christian Ministry. Ultimate Talks is centered on the Christian faith, relating to things the youth go through in today's world, navigating our faith in the modern world today. This episode promises to be exciting, promises to be fun, it promises to be educative. Trust me, don't go away, stay tuned. My name is Dorcas and I'll be doing this with
Daniel Koju, and we are being joined by
Christopher Chipfiave.
Michael Amanyagbenega.
Excellent. And tonight's program is going to be very exciting. We are going to be discussing a very important topic that every youth is going through. I'm sure each and everyone listening here would want to settle down one of these days. We all have our loved ones that we choose to settle with. Now, there is this phenomena out there, outside the church, where people settle down with people and then they end up in certain relationships. But before we go into deeper conversations, is there anything termed as biblical dating? And is it a sin? In my opinion, once I'm dating, I need to go all out. Once I'm not breaching any contract between you and I feel it's godly. Is that right?
Okay, so I think that it depends on the context and where you can situate yourself as a young person. We see ourselves as people who are in the world, but we are not of this world. And so our rules and our guidelines are slightly different from what the world would use as its guidelines. And so, yes, the term dating is there, but I believe that there's a distinction between how people who are not governed by Christian principles would go about their dating and how those who are governed by Christian principles would also go about dating. And so there are two distinctions.
Okay. So if I understand you, in this same phenomena called dating, there are two sides.
Yes.
Where if you belong to the world, there's a way you go about your dating. If you belong to the Christian faith, there's a way you go about your dating.
I would suppose so.
Oh, okay. But is it a sin as a Christian? Is it a sin?
Well, okay. So let me just do a little bit of clarification here. You see, everything that is original has a counterfeit.
Oh, okay. That's wisdom.
Yes. So it's the same way, there is, when God created man, or when he created everything, there is a way he intended things to work, or he intended for things to work in a particular way, but since there was a fall, as we know, so a lot of things have been perverted.
I see.
Yes, so a lot of things have been perverted, which have become the norm for this day.
So, Pastor Chris, you mentioned every original thing as a counterfeit. In this context, are you saying Christian dating, as you term it, is the original?
Okay, so when I say that everything that has an original has a counterfeit, what followed was that there are things that have good intents, but it's being perverted or it's being corrupted because of the agenda behind it. So dating in itself, of course, we all know the purpose of dating. In terms of biblical context, is for you to get to know one another before you settle down.
Must it necessarily end in settling down?
You see, that is where I personally have an issue with this dating phenomena. Because the thing is that why date? Because we all know that if you go on Google or internet and you type what dating is, it will bring out certain keywords, which is a romantic relationship.
Romantic?
Yes, romantic relationship. And romantic relationship, as you know, the chemistry between a man and woman in a romantic relationship, we all know the end point.
Right.
We all know where it will end up. And that is where there must be the distinction between the original intent of us dating and then that of what we have come to accept in this world as as dating.
Okay, so
Yes. Okay.
let me let me something Pastor Chris said. You mentioned original dating, right? Original intention of dating, and biblical dating. You've repeated biblical dating, but looking into the Bible, I don't see any example of people in the Bible dating. Is there, an example of people dating, and what you would say, you can clearly say this is biblical dating?
Okay. So
Or they are mere assumptions.
So it's like the question you're asking is like, you want to ask me, it's the same way. I want to reframe it. Is there anywhere you see in the Bible anywhere wearing sneakers?
Oh.
No, I'm just. No, but
This is a different conversation altogether.
Exactly.
Correct.
Exactly my point. You see, there are certain things that
are not specific in the Bible.
It is, you will not see anywhere written explicitly that this is biblical dating. But however, everything that has that we engage ourselves, there's a rule of, or there are rules of engagement in terms of using biblical context or using biblical principles. You understand? So when it comes to the dating, when I was talking about this world, what we have come to as termed as dating, is the fact that at the end of the day, it will end up in what we would term as premarital sex, which is not biblical principles. It is not what the Bible teaches us. So definitely there is a distinction, clearly.
Right.
So there is something actually called biblical. From where we are coming from, there is actually a biblical context of dating.
Okay.
And I will leave for Reverend Mike to say something.
So Reverend Mike, do you agree with?
Yes. So just a little clarification. I think he was talking about what the original intent is, and I think Sarkodie was also asking about the fact that should dating necessarily end in marriage? I think that not necessarily.
Right.
It doesn't necessarily have to end in marriage, and the reason is because the original intent of dating, as we would know it biblically, is that you're supposed to get to know yourselves. You're supposed to get to assess your strengths and see where you guys are compatible and how you can work together and live together.
Correct.
Okay, so I mean that is actually the intent. So what happens is that once you get to know each other, you do an assessment, you see that, look, this person is not compatible, or this person, we are having issues, we are having challenges. You part ways.
Okay.
And that is the reason why biblically it is wise to keep yourself and not to go into certain things, because once you entangle yourself into certain things, separating and going different ways becomes very challenging and very difficult. Exactly. So the emotional torture, the psychological torture, the spiritual challenges that go with it. The truth is that there are a lot of things that have become very normal today, and so we assume that because everybody is doing it, it is okay. I hope you understand. So that is really where the challenge is. But the original intent is that people should get to know themselves a bit more and a bit better, and that is one of the reasons. I'm sure we'll get to that point, but there are people who date for 10 years. There are people who date for 15 years.
And it's good. I think it's
really
good.
Well. So
I honestly don't see anything wrong with dating for that long, because we are still knowing each other.
15 years.
We are still knowing each other. Is there any basis? Do we have any benchmark?
Okay.
As to the number of years or days we should date?
So you see, the whole idea is that you are supposed to do an assessment. It's just like you saying that, okay, I'm going to be in secondary school for 15 years. Okay, but
no
the
graduation.
point is that when you finish first year, there's a certain assessment that is done.
Right.
Then you graduate to the next stage.
Right.
Then you graduate, and then you pass out. Right. Okay, so that is supposed to be the whole picture. Now people keep writing the same exam, and they've been writing for 15 years. Come on. So
but in assessment, in assessment, the summative assessments also give room for.
Okay, so in the university, you would have been sacked.
You have written the same exams. I mean,
over. That means a trail. You have trailed. You couldn't pass. You would have
been sacked from the university long ago.
Yeah, but in relationships, this is character traits you are watching.
Okay.
In as much as we are in a relationship, and as you rightly mentioned, the end result is for us to settle down. I need to be sure of whom I'm bringing into my home.
Okay, so how long?
If it's going to take me 10 years, if it's going to take me 15 years to know you, I think we are safe.
Okay, so the thing is this. I mean, ideally, you are in your 20s, you're in your early 30s, you are matured enough to settle down. Okay, and then you find somebody that you are attracted to, and you think that this is somebody I can bond with, somebody I can live with, So you go in, you ask, and you are given permission to date the person. Now the
really, in dating, we ask permission, eh?
Well, technically, technically, if the person doesn't accept, but technically, if the person doesn't accept to date you, there can't be a dating. If the person doesn't accept, okay. So I mean, like in our local parlance, you say that you want to chase a girl, and then the girl accepted or she rejected or she bounced you.
Okay.
You understand? Now the bouncing will now be a no.
Right.
Okay, which means that she's not permitting you.
Correct.
She's not giving you that access into her inner space.
Correct.
Right. And if she agrees, then it means that she's giving you permission. So you can call her at certain times that normally people will not call.
Right.
Okay, you can meet her, you guys can go out, you guys can, go for programs together and stuff like that. Yes. So, I mean, that is where the permission comes in.
Okay.
I want us to backtrack a little.
Okay.
Let's backtrack a little. When I was trying to talk about the dating as we have come to accept it, imagine, Sagodi, you are an educator. You work with students. Imagine a student in a primary school or in a JHS, and because of adolescent sex drive, he says that I'm dating a girl. At that age, what are you looking for?
At that age, what are they looking for?
What are you looking for? What kind of companionship are you looking for at that age? You are in SHS. Your parents are taking care of you. What are you looking for?
People meet their destiny helpers in SHS.
The woman you are going to, the lady you have gone to propose to.
I know someone.
Is your destiny helper.
I know someone in a bank.
So you have to propose to the person.
I know someone in a bank who they are married now. Actually, CMB UBA Bank. He met his wife in SHS.
Okay.
You see,
through to the university, and they even did their second degree together, and they are married.
Okay.
So
but they were not dating.
See, that is
they were not dating. They were in a relationship.
You are,
but you see, so here, this is where the distinction comes in.
I'm not assuming.
Yeah. So this is where the distinction comes in. The distinction comes in that, okay, so we are assuming that every relationship is dating. Is that what we're saying?
That is
it depends on what you are doing in that relationship.
Absolutely.
If you are getting to know the person, if there are feelings involved, if there is affection, between you two, it's basically dating. Then what exactly are you doing? Because being in a relationship, there are types of relationship, but a boy-girl relationship, no matter the age, no matter how long you do it, I will classify it as dating.
So that is where I am still asking the question. At that time, at that age, what are you looking for?
A friendship, someone you can.
So you can't have friends.
You're acting on the feelings God gave.
That is where the romance is coming in. You see my point? That is where the romance is coming in. And then at that age, adolescent sex drive will kick in. Once you are alone, what do you think you will do? You play ampe. Or you do what?
You're also assuming that all
it is
young
not
people,
an assumption.
You're also assuming that all teenagers engaged in boyfriend-girlfriend relationships or dating are engaged in.
You are talking about feelings here.
Yes, feelings. Okay. Even in a Christian context, you can't be in a relationship with someone you don't have feelings for.
Absolutely.
Let's be honest.
No, that is when you are ready. You see, when Reverend Mike was talking, you see, there's a point you get to, and he gave an example. That is not necessarily the main age. When you are ready, you know you are ready to, you want someone, long lifetime partner you want to settle with. Then you go in, you start, you go in for someone, or you look, of course, you are observing, then you go into this dating. What you are saying, dating. But I would term it differently.
Okay.
So
I would term it as courtship.
So in your honest opinion,
do you understand?
Every dating, per your own, rendition, you feel every dating should end in marriage?
No. Even in courtship, let me tell you something. When I was going to get married.
Oh, wow. Personal experience.
Yes. When I was going to get married, my counselor, who is my bishop, always one thing that I can, and even keep repeating to everyone that I get opportunity to counsel or to talk to them when they're about to get married. You see, when you start courting, live in a certain way that even on the day that you're about to say the vows, when something comes out, you want to go your separate ways, you can easily go.
Yeah. Yeah.
You see, people feel that at that point there is no return. Something can come up. That's why on the day of the wedding, they ask you, who here among something. Sometimes it happens.
Interesting.
Do you understand?
Yes.
So when that thing come up at that point in time, the wedding could be called off. For that particular event, it could be called off. Maybe later you might resolve it and continue. You see? So you must live in a certain way that when it gets to that point, you should be able to withdraw yourself.
Okay.
Interesting.
So from what I'm getting from you, so people within a certain age bracket, right, cannot live in that way.
Yes. So that to answer your question, okay, which that made me talk about that. You see, you have made me lose my point.
sorry. So you can.
Okay. So let me just come in this way. I think there are a number of things we are mixing up. Okay. So there's relationship. Okay. Then we have dating. Then we have courtship.
But,
okay.
This conversation is centered on dating.
It's centered on dating. Yes, dating. But you see, what I'm gathering is that we are interplaying or intertwining, courtship with dating. Because from my perspective, I think what we are looking at from the Christian perspective of dating is within the context of courtship. Okay, so the understanding is that you are matured enough. Okay. The understanding is that you are ready to settle down.
Right.
The understanding is that you've studied somebody, you've observed the person, and you feel that this is the person I want to approach and talk to. And if the person agrees, we get to know ourselves better over a period of time, and then we get married. Okay. So within that period, you will term it as dating. And within that dating period, you are observing and studying each other.
Correct.
Okay. Now, that studying does not include sex.
Sexual ecstasy.
Okay. Because within the context that we are speaking as Christian youth, okay, the issue of sex comes with a lot of spiritual connotations. You understand? And so there are things, it's just like you saying that, okay, you want to teach your child how to cook, and you want your child to set the fire, and you want him to do everything and put his hand on the fire to see whether the fire is okay and every other thing, whether it's hot enough or something. What happens is that it burns the child. You understand? So there are certain guidelines you give to the child to make sure that the child is protected from certain exposures. I hope you understand. Okay. And that is the context within which when you live, you are safer. Okay. You understand? Because today, there are a lot of people who are talking about things like, we need to test each other. We need to do this. We need to do that. Now, all those things are things that have been brought into our circle as Christian youth.
Right.
You understand? And so those things come with a lot of challenges, a lot of danger. But the truth is that, people make it seem as if it is so cool.
Which is not. As a
and
Christian
then
youth.
at the end of the day,
It's normal.
you go into it and you realize that, Charlie, the thing no work. But now
You've lost yourself.
your emotions are intertwined.
Disturbed.
So it's like this one feels
you want to go, you want to
heartbroken.
go, you want to
This
go,
one
you want to
feels heartbroken. This one feels rejected. This one
Rejected and all
feels
that.
dejected.
Yeah.
Then you see,
Rehabilitation
sometimes
center
you
comes in.
just psych yourself. You move into the next relationship. The same thing happens. You move into another relationship. So by the time you are settling down, you are getting married, you've gone into 4, 5, 6 relationships.
Experience is always the best teacher.
And it comes with baggage.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It comes with a lot of baggages, a lot of challenges, a lot of difficulties. Okay?
Let's hold that thought.
So
So from... you want to
I
say
wanted
something?
now. I remember
He's back on track.
I'm
Yeah.
back.
He wants to-
There's a lot that is rushing in my head. Anyway,
Okay.
so you asked whether every dating.
you made an
yes,
assertion.
and you are saying that you asked me whether does all end up in
Should every
should
dating
every
end up?
and so just to what I said was to emphasize that no. It may not necessarily end up in in marriage.
Marriage,
Sorry.
okay.
Then you were coming up. The point I wanted to make was that as a child who is being fed, you can't go and say that you are going to have a companion. You can have friendship. I mean,
Yeah.
we encourage you to have a lot of friends, that you move with, that you play with, but not in a romantic relationship.
Anyway.
So
Yes.
I'm getting a common, denominator, let me say, from both of you. I think I'm grasping your definition of what biblical dating is. From what I've gotten from both of you, there is the aspect of maturity.
Yeah.
There is
Of
the
course, of
aspect of
course.
having settlement as a
Yes.
purpose.
Yes.
Not that it will necessarily end in there, but it should be the purpose
Yes.
of
Yes.
dating. So let's talk about maturity. At what age would you, say that someone is ready to date? Because I would say, in SHS, there are a lot of people around me dating. I wanted to. Do you get it? I was pressured. And I think some of them were handling it well. Some of them, I was hearing all kinds of things. So those handling it, I was like, this guy is going to church. Her boyfriend is a Christian. I think they are handling it well. Why can't I, as a fellow Christian, do it too? In SHS, I was barely 16, 17, 18. Well, is that a right time for me to date? I think...
Okay.
I think
So-
it should have been a right time for me to date, but bibinti.
We understand.
Yes.
So
We understand.
so from what you are saying is that from hindsight you would have wished.
I was wishing.
I mean, everyone deserves.
I was wishing.
That's why I said the peer pressure is real.
Okay. So
Sometimes you realize, even
Yes.
though
The
they
peer
are
pressure is real.
certain things, yet
Okay.
they are progressing
Yeah.
Okay.
academically
Okay.
and all that. Uh-huh. So
okay.
why would I also do it?
So you see that sometimes when you look back, you realize that it's easy for you to assume that because you didn't do it, you've lost something. But I would say that lots of people have lost their virginity.
Regretted.
Lots of people
And regretted.
have lost time
And regretted.
and certain values of life. Okay. This podcast is going international, and a lot of people are going to listen to it, and they would not side with what we are saying.
Of course, we know.
But the truth is this, that you see, if you counsel people a lot, you realize that many people have challenges that started way back. Especially when it comes to marriage and some issues. There are a lot of entanglements that people got themselves involved in whilst they were growing up. Okay, and they saw those things as normal, as things that, let's move on. It's a phase, let's move on. But in the end, you realize that it becomes a baggage when you settle down. I hope you understand. Look, sometimes you are assuming that, Charlie, this girl is fine. So Charlie, I for date them. Trust me.
For day.
You go see, say, the day you start to date the woman,
Then you go to see women they flash. This one they pass. This one they pass. So you go see say Charlie, people they like if you don't feel control yourself, you tell womanizer with that.
Oh yeah, I mean
you understand. And in the end,
path.
Yes, it's like in the end, it's like you realize that being loyal to one person is a challenge.
It's very important.
So there are a lot of people who are not loyal to their spouses today. Not because
they are
like they started today.
Yes, not because they're originally not loyal. It's been there.
They started
this is true.
way
This
back.
is very true.
Because he feels that I've made a commitment to this lady, but Charlie, this one is looking also very good. So let me
especially when you have certain flashbacks.
Exactly. So he has 2, 3, 4 people.
Yes.
And he feels it is normal. And we are in a day and in an age where we feel that being crafty and being smart is the order of the day. So it's like, Charlie, you can be here with this lady, here with that lady, here with... So you are dating 3, 4 women at the same time. You understand? Now, within the context of what we are talking about dating, it is not just a superficial relationship. I hope you understand. So when you are with this person, you are with this person, like, I mean, it creates issues because then who are you committed to? I hope you get the picture. Right. So there are a lot of issues that come up, but the truth is that a lot of people have learned the wrong way, and sometimes we say that experience is the best teacher. Okay. So because experience is the best teacher, should I take you to the highest roof and make you jump so that you experience what it means to fall? Would you still be alive? No. I hope you understand. Right. So experience is not always the best teacher. Okay? And so there are a lot of things that, and curiosity comes into play when we are young people. We want to try it. What we are told not to do.
That is what
and I mean, that's what I've realized. I mean, you have kids, you tell them, oh, don't go here. They want to see why you are saying them not to they shouldn't go. It's human nature. Okay. So most of the time, what you are told not to do is what you want to do. When you are told, don't touch a woman, then you want to touch.
Specifically
to see where the reaction or how the feeling will be like.
Interesting.
But you forget that once you start, it's like you continue.
But Dorcas asked a very interesting question, which I think we've not answered yet.
Okay.
She asked when...
Yeah. Maturity.
Yes, when one is supposed to date. I mean, the right time to date.
Yeah. Okay. So okay, you.
All right. So this lesson I learned it way before I entered the university.
Okay.
By the grace of God. Thanks once again to my bishop, Papa, Reverend Dr. Emmanuel. So he taught us very early.
Okay.
In fact, at that time I was still in SHS.
Where to get to before you can date?
Yes, where to get to.
Doesn't mean you were dating and he caught you.
I never. Let me tell you. No, it was a seminar. Oh, so okay. I never dated.
Okay.
Even at that time, I never dated.
Okay.
You understand? And there was one thing that he said that kept me
going.
That kept me going. So he talked about areas. If you want to really settle down, you should, first of all, you should be the maturities. He talked about spiritual maturity, at least as somebody who is going to bring someone, another person, you should be spiritually, have some spiritual maturity in terms of your growth in the word of the Lord and in your walk with God. You should know God, so that you can direct your children, you can train them in the way that they should go. That is one. Okay. Number 2 is that you should be emotionally matured. You should have some form of, because that's why it is not boys who marry, it is men who marry, or women who marry. It's not girls. When a child is upset, you can throw tantrums here, left, right, center. So there should be some form of emotional maturity where you know when to react and when not to react. Of course, yes, there are sometimes you are caught off guard, but even at that point, you should know how to manage some of these things. So there should be that form of emotional immaturity.
Well, for the sake of our listeners, so far we've made a very important and educative point. So when you talk about emotional maturity, what does it mean? So for someone to be seen as emotionally matured,
Okay.
What does it mean?
So your emotions is just talking about self-control.
Okay.
It's about self-control. Yeah. So how to control yourself when you are happy, when you are excited, when you are angry, when you are sad, because then you are going to be living with someone. Maybe you are someone who at a point in time you are always sad, and the person you are going to settle with is always a happy-go-lucky person, So when such a person comes around, you should know how to, control yourself or leave me alone. That kind of it doesn't work.
But we are together. Why should I leave you alone? For better, for worse.
You see, so that's why I said you should be a bit emotionally mature to handle some of these things. When there are challenges emotionally with the person you are settling down with, how do you help the person come out of it also? It's also part of the emotional maturity.
So we've gotten spiritual maturity from you and emotional maturity.
Yes.
Rev, briefly, anything to add at the right about the right time to marry?
Does it mean monetary issues doesn't matter?
So I wouldn't want us to go into the marriage part of it because we are talking about dating.
I mean the right time to date.
So what I wanted to talk about has to do with the fact that, there are a lot of experiences that we go through in life, and there are a lot of lessons that we learn. Most of the time, people are looking at a specific age, or a range, say maybe from 20 to, say, 25, or from 25 to 30, you can date or something. But I think it goes beyond just, the numbers in terms of age.
Right.
There are lots of people who still have a lot of lessons to learn. There are a lot of people who may be old in age in terms of the numbers, but in terms of the emotional maturity, in terms of the physical maturity, in terms of the spiritual maturity, and even that financial stability, they may be lacking in certain things. But most of the time, you have to look at yourself. Ideally, you should be out of school. Ideally, you should be out of school so that your dating and your courtship or that relationship that is getting serious is not, in conflict with what you are doing educationally or in terms of your academic work. So that is something you should be mindful of. And then also, it is also ideal for you to be settling down in terms of getting some work to do or running some business or starting some initiative, And the reason is because it's important for you to have some kind of financial flow, because of the direction that your life is taking, So you realize that I'm talking about financial flow. I'm not talking about just having a career or being in an office or anything like that, but anything that is an initiative that you are taking that can generate some kind of legitimate income for you. Because today there are lots of people. I mean, I was with some parents this morning, and they were saying that, look, there are kids that they've encountered that the kids don't want to work. All they are doing is betting, because in a week,
they make more money.
In a week, the amount of money that he makes is like, if he goes to sit in the office, it's a waste of time. So, I mean, we need to situate it and put it within the proper context. That it should be some kind of income that is very legit. I'm not saying betting money is not legit, but it's not something we believe in. You understand? So it should be something that gives you some very good income or some flow, very good flow. Then you'll be able to use it to take care of certain needs and certain issues. Yeah.
So it means that you don't have to have a quantum of money in your account. People feel that you should, before you settle down or in a relationship or even dating, you must have some quantum of money seated in your account before you can actually go into settling down while you've dated for some time. And I feel it's because they want to have some kind of comfort.
Okay. So you see that is where maturity comes in, because one of the things you learn when you are maturing is that.
But is it right or wrong? Must you have any amount of money seated in your account?
So money is a current. Okay, and it's
money is a what?
It's
Current.
a current.
Has
current.
You know, currency. That's why I call it currency.
Money is current.
So it flows.
But money is current. It flows.
Yes, so it flows, and so
Okay.
you may have that money sitting in your account today, and that lady or that gentleman may be attracted to it.
Okay.
But what he or she doesn't realize is that that money can move and do something and come back, and it can come back either less or more.
Right.
You understand? So you transact with money, you deal with money, you deal with stuff, so that then you are moving it and you are bringing it back and all those other things.
Okay.
I think what you are asking to situate it well is you should have some kind of savings or investment, okay, as some form of security, economic security, which is good, very advisable, but not a quantum of money sitting there. Because you see, many people have lost it because they are just looking at the kind of money that is sitting there. And you may see it on paper, you may see it in the bank account. But the truth is that the person who is very habitual and consistent with doing certain things may end up even surpassing the one who has that kind of bulk money that you are thinking should be there. You understand? So there's a certain level of consistency that is required. There are certain habits that must be built up for you to be able to develop those things, and then you mature, you grow into, okay, so that when you are dating the person and he ends up in marriage, which is supposed to be the focus, what then happens is that there is some kind of consistent flow. You know, so you may even be working, but because you built this habit of saving, you always put something aside, no matter how small. You see, savings is not just about, I mean, I'm sure we'll talk about some of these things later.
Yes.
You know, it's not about the quantum, it's about that
Discipline.
consistency, that habit, that discipline.
Yeah.
You know, so you put something aside because you are looking into the future. You understand? And those are the things you look at when you are a matured person. So if you are dating, in quote, a proper woman or a proper man, there are certain conversations you have. And that is what the dating idea is supposed. You converse. You talk about things. You know, you talk about your future. You talk about your plans. You talk about the prospects. All those things come into dating.
Talking about things. Why wouldn't you also talk about your sexual potentials? Because it also matters.
Talking about
It also matters. Talking about economics, talking about commerce, talking about accounting. It's also important. Because there are certain marriages that do not last based on certain sexual.
Okay. So even before Pastor Chris comes in, you know, one of the things we've learned as counselors is that one of the things that gives you impotency is the economic issues. You see a woman there, but you can't even do anything. You know, but just by virtue of the fact that you don't get money.
You don't know what's going on.
You understand? So, I mean, there are a lot of dynamics that come into some of these things. But, I mean, what you have said is also a legitimate thing. But the truth is that, you know, there is a certain caution that is exercised when it comes to the issues of sex. Because, you see, as Christians, what happens is that sex is within certain confines, and the confine is marriage. No matter what people try to say, no matter how we try to legitimize it, it is within a certain confine, and the confine is marriage. Outside of that, it is illegitimate.
Correct.
I hope you understand.
Correct.
Outside of that, it is illegitimate. No matter how you try to express it, no matter how much fun you had, no matter how good it was, how you describe it, whatever, it is still illegitimate. I mean, people do armed robbery, and they still have fun doing armed robbery. But it doesn't legitimize the fact that, like, because the person enjoys, because there's some hurt, there's some damage that has been done.
Correct.
You know, and so sometimes there are things that damage us, and we are not aware because we think we are having fun. Okay, so it should be within those confines. Yeah.
This is interesting.
Yeah.
I just want to add to that. You see, that's where I was talking about emotional maturity in here. You know, in the sense that you talk about that you bring that issue up, but you see, you should know the limit that you go to. You are there, and then the person, what dress are you wearing?
This conversation.
You see,
In the night.
what are you wearing? Can I see, what you are wearing?
But is that a wrong question?
Video call.
Don't you know where this is leading to? I engaged a 16-year-old girl just a while, I think 2 months ago, in one of the SHS. And she was telling me the number of boys she had dated.
16-year-old.
And she's in fact, she's on top of her game.
16 years old.
Yes. She didn't explicitly say that she had probably slept with them, but she knew what she was about. And she had that, even at that, she had the, I wouldn't say maturity or the wit to be able to identify when a man starts asking her that question, that she knows where it will lead to.
Oh, great.
So I know you know where it will lead
to. Yes. Predominantly, it leads to, the wrong side.
So that should be, as Reverend Mike said, it should be within a certain confines. It's when you are getting to know someone, conversations are heart to heart. So sometimes some are realistic things that you can relate with. Some conversations are idealistic, at least to solicit the person's view or what the person thinks about it. You understand? Because there are some, immediately you start raising that, they will tell you, no, I don't want to talk about those things. That does not mean that it should be the basis that, as we are saying today, I feel that kind of conversation which are saying that that one, yes, of course, it's sex, in marriages is destroying a lot of, I've followed a lot of conversations, but in itself, as Reverend said, it's not the only challenge that marriages face.
Okay.
You understand?
Okay.
It is not.
This revelation is very interesting.
Yes. And these things, even that one, I feel that the challenge is that when people are dating at the wrong time or at the wrong age, that is when some of these things, cracks are built or cracks are created in their foundations. So it becomes a basis. You are looking at a previous experience and you are judging your one that you are finally settled with.
Great.
And that is a lot of problem. Remember, let me just chip in this. In 2022, I moved to another school to teach. And year 4, 5, and 6, that's the ages between 8 to 9, between 8 to 10. And they were having a conversation and they were asking themselves, one was asking, what is your body count?
Hey.
At that age?
I didn't know what, at 2022, I didn't know what body count was.
In fact, I got to know body count just last week, Friday.
You see, I didn't know what body count is.
I didn't know. It was in the barbering shop, Pastor Chris.
You see, he doesn't know what the body count is. You see what I'm talking about? Honestly, what this dating is,
Pastor Chris,
is doing.
Honestly, I myself, it was just last Friday
2020
that I got to know body count.
Honestly,
in a shop.
They were asking, one will ask. So the other lower primary caught the question. And they were also going around asking others, what is your body? Some say 100, some say 50. Then the thing came to us, and so we called them and we started inquiring. What did they mean by? So one of them, when one said, hey, they said, what does it mean?
It means she knows what body count is.
They know. That means the number of people you have slept with.
Serious.
So when somebody sees you and asks you, what is your body count? It's asking how many people you have had intercourse with.
Yeah. Body count.
Okay, but at that age, between age 8 and...
I'm sure I'm also learning something.
Exactly.
Honestly.
So you see what dating at the wrong age is doing.
Okay.
And now it has become, I have a body count of 20, I have a body count of 30, and, we are celebrating it.
Okay, and what I even wanted to just chip in, before you brought in the issue of the body count is, one of the things that has been observed is the fact that lots of people, with regards to the issue of, challenges in sex and all those other things, why people, have some of these challenges even when they get into marriage and all those other things, because it's very important. Is, lots of people have experimented with the wrong things.
Wrong things.
You understand? There are people who are masturbating. There are people who are doing all kinds of things. Now, those are things that you do in private. You understand? But there's a certain effect. There's a certain consequence. Okay? Now, when you do all those things, you may not see yourself having challenges. But you see, many a times when you've gotten used to satisfying yourself alone,
By yourself.
now when you are supposed to satisfy your partner, it becomes a challenge. You understand? And so you get into that situation where, once you are okay, you feel that is it. And those are the things that actually create the mess.
Yeah.
You understand? Because the mindset is that as long as I'm okay, it's fine. But you see, that is selfishness within the context of marriage.
Okay. So if I understand you,
Yes.
we are currently talking about the right way to date.
Yes.
Things that must
Yes.
go on
Yes.
while we are
Within
having
the
a
sexual
godly
yes.
dating.
Yes.
A godly
Conversation.
dating. Kind of conversations we should
So
have,
there are things
the kind
you
of
discuss.
practices we should
There are
have.
things you build as a habit. Okay, and sometimes when within the Christian context, you learn to pray together. Okay, instead of sexting and
video
how do you call
sexting.
it, all those video nudity and all kinds of things that you are involved in, why don't you use the time to pray?
Okay.
It may look very primitive, but trust
Especially
me.
in this current
Yes, but trust me, you
world.
see, people are messed up. Seriously messed up. So today, I mean, when we got into the COVID period, you could see people do things.
Right.
And I'm talking about even Christians. Go online, do things, show off their body, do all kinds of things because they are frustrated, they are stressed, they are tired.
Frustration.
Okay? But these are things that you would realize that they do in their rooms on their own. Sometimes people can put their phone, take a selfie of themselves dancing in a sexual way, all kinds of things.
Silhouette
Now-
challenge.
Yeah. silhouette challenge.
So now,
What?
Silhouette
Silhouette
challenge.
okay, so now you keep those things on your phone, and people get into trouble.
Okay.
Sometimes it's not that you have shared it with somebody.
Like the
People
recent
can
thing we are
access-
seeing.
People can access your phone remotely.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Easily.
Happens, yeah.
You understand? And
Easily.
look, today there are kids, and I know because we have kids who we are involved in, and they are doing coding, they are doing all kinds of. They are learning at very young ages. Now there's what they call the ethical hacking and
Yeah.
those kind of this thing. Now people learn how to hack,
Yeah. It's a course.
Yeah.
and they go
It's a
into
free
these
course.
things, and they can access phones and laptops remotely.
Easily.
They can access gadgets remotely. If
Yes.
somebody wants to mess you up, the person will just access those things.
Exactly.
Why keep those things? What is the motivation for showing or keeping that video of yourself? It's your body. If you want to see your body, you can see. Why do you have to have it on your phone?
On your
You have
phone.
a mirror.
Exactly. I hope you understand. So
Right.
there are a lot of things that we've taken for granted, and we've assumed that those things are okay.
Okay.
But you could have been using that time to talk to each other, to motivate each other, encourage each other.
Okay.
You understand? I remember when I was dating my wife, she was doing courses. I was also doing courses. So we talk, and you see that is it. One guy. They were interviewing him. He's a musician, and he was being interviewed, and he was like, they were asking him, why doesn't he produce these songs, like songs that will insult somebody else? And he said, look, when you are too busy making
You are
songs,
doing that.
you don't have time to
Do
do
certain
certain things.
So
You
real
see-
quick, Reverend,
Yes.
let's quickly talk about the right way to date as a Christian.
Yes.
I mean, currently, as you rightly mentioned, there are a whole lot of things happening outside the church. And I believe as a church, it is important for us to educate the people outside. I mean, as a church, we need to bring in souls, not only to build them spiritually, but also teach them the nuggets of life regarding marriage. So, what will you say regarding the right way for a Christian youth to date?
Let me come in. I think Pastor Chris has mentioned, having godly conversations.
Yes.
We've established having praying together, encouraging each other to grow. We've established no sex. That's for that one. Yeah, there's been a lot of talk about it. But I feel like that's a bit too
rigid.
What can we do for fun as Christians dating? Can I go out with whoever I'm courting or dating, go sit somewhere and have those conversations you should have,
Yes,
what can we do for fun?
You don't limit yourself. You try to be creative. I mean, there are a lot of activities that are around.
Like what?
That people get involved in.
For example?
Now, you see, the church organizes programs that you can be part of. Now, outside of the church, there are a lot of safe programs. Okay. So let me just give you an example. For example, I have been to shows like Uncle Ebo White.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you could go for a program like, and you learn about relationships. I hope you understand. You could go for programs like educative programs where somebody is organizing a seminar. It doesn't necessarily need to be about relationships, but you can go for some financial literacy, something. You can go on a tour to see somebody's farm. See how the person is organizing himself, so that, like, along the line, do you want to have a farm? Do you want to have something? You can even go to the beach together.
Oh, nice.
Okay, and now you sit there. It's a public space.
Picnic.
You understand? Exactly. And you can go have some lunch at a restaurant. I mean, there are safe spaces.
Correct.
There are safe programs that you can go for, where you don't feel like going into a certain space where there's temptation.
Yeah.
Okay, because it's in the open as much as possible. So these are things that you can, because you see, you build yourselves up, you communicate, you get to know yourselves better. And that environment enables you to be able to build yourself in an open manner, not in a hidden manner where you are doing all kinds of secretive things. No.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Yes, I would add this to it, and I would say that if you want to date as a Christian, don't hide your relationships. That is a recipe for disaster.
Hide your relationship.
Don't hide the dating like you are hiding corner. You don't want anybody to see. You see, it is safe that you expose it to light.
That's what I was coming to actually.
Yes.
With how conservative, Christianity is as a religion, and how some churches can be, and Christian parents too as well. They do not really create that atmosphere for us as children or young people to, openly say, oh, mommy, there's this boy I like, he says he's interested to can I date him? Can I go out with him? Can I get to know him better? It's just not created. That safe space is not created. Even on the online community, you come across Christian couples dating, not even married. Do you get it? And you can see they are trying to live and date according to God's purpose. And I'm seeing this, and I'm wanting it, I'm desiring it, but my family or the church, do you get it? It's not creating that safe space for me. What can I do? Do you get it? How are they shaping dating for the Christian youth right now? Our parents, the church, the online community too.
You see, so that's what I would say, that our parents, sometimes when they feel that when you don't feel like telling them about these things, probably because of the stance and the strictness that they have. And the way they are wired is different from the way our generation is wired, first of all. But does it mean that their ways are not right ways? No. That is another thing that you should also look at. And I feel also a parent would be welcoming when they know their child is ready to veer off, to move into that aspect.
Yeah.
When you are ready, the time I was about to get married, when I went to my parents, I told them about they They didn't. I just told them the person. You should just look at the person. Is the person? What do they think about the person? Okay, so then there was a follow-up question. Why are you asking? When they give their opinion, I say, I feel like I think that this person will be good. She's the one I would want to. I say, why not? It's a good thing. You understand? That is one out of many family settings. Some family settings, they talk about relationships.
Yes, they do.
They discuss it with their children. So they are the first. Me personally, I've said and I've told my wife that I want us to be the first people to introduce them when it comes to sex, when it comes to boyfriend, girlfriend. We want to be the people to teach them the right way. You see, before they get there, they get the information from sources that may corrupt them. So that is one. I just want to establish that. Now, the church Reverend Mike said we have seminars, marriage seminars, that helps to correct some of these things. And that helps to educate the youth or those who want to enter into dating in doing it the right way. That's one. Number two, we have counselors in the church who play a role, and they will guide you. The counselors are there. They may not necessarily make decisions for you, but they will expose certain things for you, because that's the role of a counselor. They will expose truth, negative, positive for you, but they will encourage you to choose the positive. If you go with the negative, then that one, it's your own consequence to bear. So these are some of the things or roles the church is. And also on the pulpit, we talk about living right, and all those things are helping, shaping for you to become a better person even tomorrow when you settle down when you want to go into dating, so that you don't do things that contradict scripture. So the church plays a lot of roles. It's just that just as Reverend Mike, the heart of man, we are very curious. We want to experiment. But I keep telling people over and over again. You see, I've had the opportunity, by the grace of God, to mentor young ladies. And I know one of them definitely will watch this podcast, and she can come out to testify on the comment section, wherever it is. Look, this girl had really messed up. You know, when you talk to her, you know, I will keep telling her that I know this route you are taking, it won't end well. But, you know, it is not.
She wants to experiment.
She wants to experiment. But today, she's standing so now that she has seen it over and over through prayers, counseling, she's a very staunch Christian now, like very standing firm. You know, but today she regrets the things that she did.
I think just to add, you know, our parents actually are there to protect us.
Yes.
And they try to do their best to protect us. And so they would want the best for us. Now, trust me, when, like Pastor Chris said, when your parents are convinced that you are matured, they know it. Right? Now, the truth is that it's not every parent that is actually in sync with whatever is going on, you know. But don't assume that they don't have wisdom. Don't assume that they don't know. Okay, sometimes it is difficult for them to come to terms with certain things. Sometimes modernity is so fast and so rapid, and the speed at which things are changing is taking them a bit off guard. But never underestimate their wisdom. You're right. So it's important for you, when you have godly parents, for you to seek counsel from them. Sometimes you need to talk to them. You need to chat with them. Now, these are things that you build over time. You understand? They don't just happen. They are made to happen. You build a home where there's that safety to converse and to talk and all those. So those of us who are not married, we need to understand that even if your parents didn't create these things, you consciously build it in your memory that you need to build a home where there is that kind of safety, where your children can converse with you and they don't feel like they are under some kind of pressure. You know, because once they feel that, they will go elsewhere to get advice. right? So we need to create that homely environment and that safe environment for them to be able to talk to parents. Okay, and families have a lot to learn. Okay, there's so much families have to learn, and so we continue to grow, we continue to build. Now the church also has a role to play. One of the things that we don't do too well is to let our spiritual leaders know early enough that, look, I have this intention, I want to date this person, or this is the person I have set eyes on. What I have noticed is that anybody who comes to you that way is ready. Okay. Now, when that person comes to you boldly, if the person is not ready, you know how to advise the person.
Advise the person, okay.
Okay, so that the person can continue to focus on whatever he's doing. Now, if the person is also ready, you know how to advise the person so that the person does a few things. Because as spiritual people, we try as much as possible to observe things not just in the physical, but also in the spiritual.
Thank you so much.
So you may be, how do you call it, looking at the person from the physical perspective, but sometimes the person has come and the person has certain challenges, that maybe you as a spiritual person, you are privy to, and you are helping the person to get out of a certain situation. Yeah. So it may not be the appropriate time for that person to enter into a particular relationship, because the person can mess you up. Correct. And because the two of you are in the church, we have to make sure we are protecting the two of you. Yeah. That is where the spiritual person comes in to guide you so that you take your time and you know what you are doing.
Okay, Reverend, we are very grateful. I mean, this is wisdom. It takes only experience to know all these clues. When a person is genuinely ready and when a person has come to play tricks. I mean, yes. So, before we wrap up, I would want us to give our comments. 3 key areas a Christian youth should focus before he or she gets into dating that would eventually end into marriage. Because we have established that as a Christian, the baseline for dating is marriage as a Christian. Now, we've also gone through certain series of advice as to where you're supposed to date, conversations you're supposed to have, what you're not supposed to do, and even advice from parents. Now, tell us 3 key issues. As a Christian youth, what are the things you're supposed to consider before dating?
Before Reverend Mike comes in, I want to take this opportunity to just address one thing, okay? Let me speak to the teenagers, because I know teenagers would find this contact. Okay? Crushes are normal. To have a crush, yes, it's normal. Okay, because that is the basis sometimes what they think that they have to begin to date others.
Where the crush means you have a feeling for someone.
Yes, you have a feeling, infatuation, you feel that you in love, you admire the person and all that. It's part of your growth process. But it does not mean that you are ready to have a romantic relationship with anyone. Do you understand? It will pass. It's a season, it's a phase in your life. It will pass. This dating we are talking about is for people who are ready. So in case you are infatuated, you have a crush, you are in a relationship which you term as dating, I will advise you, see a counselor today. Approach someone who can help you get out of it as soon as possible, because it can lead you to distraction.
Okay. Wisdom. This is so much wisdom.
Okay. That's deep. So, Reverend Mike, a passing comment.
I think he asked about 3 things.
3 key top-notch areas you'd want us
to see.
What readily comes to mind is your relationship with God. Very important. You need to have a solid base and let your foundation be God. That is very, very important. The second thing is build a relationship with, have an inner circle. Okay, it could be your family, it could be very close people that you can trust, mentors. that you can talk to, because it's a journey. And so at the end of the day, you get to certain points. Sometimes you are discouraged, sometimes you are confused. But when you build that inner circle of confidence and people that you can trust, godly people who can give you godly wisdom and advice and direction, and people who can support you in prayer, you realize that even when you get to those crossroads, it becomes easy for you to navigate your way through. Why? Because somebody's praying for you, somebody's supporting you with advice and all that. And then the third thing is, make sure you build the right foundation for your life. And with that, because you've given me 3, I'm trying to put all those 3 in here. So the third one, build the right foundation for your life. Now, your academics is very important. Your career path is very important. Okay. And now your finances, very, very critical. So I'll put all those into the third category, because the reason is because you need to build yourself up and get to that point where somebody can be confident that I can give you my future and my future is safe. I hope you understand. So if you don't learn to develop yourself, if you don't learn to build yourself, you get to that point where it's like you stop growing.
You are stagnated.
You are stagnated. And people don't want that. When people see that you are not moving, they get frustrated.
In fact, currently, that is what most of the women and the men, that is what they look out for. Someone who is growing.
Yes.
If you're not growing.
So it's very, very important. But you see, all of this will be situated in the fact that the foundation is God. So even though you may have ambitions, you may have goals, and you may be pursuing certain things, very ambitious and all those other things. Once it's tied to godliness, there are certain areas, your boundaries. There are certain areas you don't go into. I hope you understand. So you are guided and you are controlled. And I think that is very, very important.
All right. I think it's been a good one. If you were to go on, we'll keep talking and talking and talking. I'm very sure we'll be coming back with a sequel to this, because there's a lot to discuss. But thank you so much, Reverend Mike. Thank you so much, Pastor Chris. And thank you so much, my fellow host, Daniel Sankadia, for doing this with me. So, don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. I hope you shared this. I hope you enjoyed it. Stay tuned for Ultimate 7 Dating Tips. Bye.
For tuning in into the Ultimate Podcast. Join the Ultimate family in person at Chado, Fire Down, every Sunday at 8 a.m. Stay connected with us on our social media for daily inspiration. Find us on Facebook at Ultimate Christian Ministry HQ and on Instagram at Ultimate Christian Ministry _Chado. Until next time, may the blessings of hope and transformation be with you on your Christian journey.